Yo, what's up guys? So I've got a different type of video for you today. I've never done an educational video quite like this one before. The amount of knowledge and the value that I'm gonna drop in this video will literally change your life. And by the end of the video, you will have actionable tools and strategies that you can implement into your life today and start to see some progress. So I'm gonna show you how I took my client Rick and helped him lose 10% of his body weight and start to pack on muscle in under 180 days using the TD1 method. So take a bunch of notes, rewatch the video 100 times if you have to. Make sure to reach out to me if you have any questions, but watch the whole video. And again, all of the information that you need to start changing your life today is inside of this video. All right, so let's get right into it. Yo, all right, let's get right into it. Can't wait to share with you guys all about the TD1 method. And listen, guys, again, this video will change your life. By the end of the video, I'm going to give you step by step proven systems that you can implement into your life today and actually start to make progress towards your goals. But first, I want to share with you a little bit about where the method came from, what the method is, and kind of how to implement it. And then we'll go into like the X's and the O's by the end of the video. So the TD1 method, guys, stands for tested daily, trained daily, and becoming a one-of-one man, having a one-on-one mindset, and ultimately just like really believing in yourself. I think one of the biggest things that holds people back and why they don't see progress long term anyway is because they never really burn the bridges. They never burn the ships. They always have like a backup plan, and they never truly change their identity into somebody who is that one-of-one person, one-of-one leader of their family, of themselves. And then it makes like going backwards almost like not a guarantee, but it makes it an option for people. So when you have options, you tend to kind of backtrack. So burn the bridges, burn the ships, and become a one-of-one man. And ultimately, what I personally believe in is, how you show up, how you present yourself really matters. If you show up and you're sloppy and you're out of shape and you get out of breath, going up and down a flight of steps, ironically, I speak to a lot of business owners, and, I've spoken to guys who, make multiple six figures in their business and they feel like they're winning, but they walk up and down a flight of steps and they're out of breath. So like, are you really winning? Like, I just think how you show up and how you present yourself really matters and brings a lot back to you. So again, I want to go into it about what the TD1 method is and show you exactly the step-by-steps that we take our clients through. And again, you can start implementing today to be a better man. So TD1, again, stands for tested daily, trained daily, one-of-one. Essentially, the program, when you apply it to your lifestyle, helps our men lose 10% of their body weight and start packing on lean muscle tissue that they can sustain in less than 180 days, and very often way less than 180 days, like 90 days. And we do this without yo-yo dieting, without crashing your calories super low. In fact, oftentimes a lot of the clients, when I first kind of set them up with their macros, they're eating a little bit more than they're used to. So they're certainly not starving and they're not like hating their diet. And ultimately we do this too without like massive gym commitments. I get it. Everybody's busy. Everybody has a job. Most of the clients that I have, again, are business owners who just have like a crazy schedule. Rick, who I'm going to showcase here, he's the best barber in town. He runs an awesome barbershop. He has clients from sun up till sundown. So he really has a limited schedule. So he uses the TD1 method to like create structure and discipline and follow a system that has proven success. So he knows like, hey, the effort that I'm putting in, I'm going to get the result out. I'm not just wasting my time. And obviously the TD1 method has helped him, visibly start to lose body fat and build some muscle and just like regain all this confidence. So we're gonna get right into it, guys. And again, this is Rick right here. These are part of his before and after process. So on the left-hand side, this is him, day one of joining the program and using the TD1 method. And this photo here on the right-hand side is not 180 days. This is actually less than 90 days that he's seeing these results. So obviously we still have some room to improve. We're still not done, But by implementing some of these systems and some of these strategies, he's already starting to change his life, which is really cool. And it's not just Rick. I have multiple clients that we've kind of taken through this TD1 process and are completely changing their life. I'm going to talk a little bit about me later on, but I am a gym owner of 10 years. So we've literally coached thousands of people through this method, and every single time it has predictable, proven, guaranteed results. All you have to do is follow the system and it's going to work. So all of these guys here are, at the beginning of their journey, low muscle mass, noticeable body fat, just not really feeling their best. And then you take them through the TD1 method, anywhere from 90 to 180 days, starting to actually see their chest, their back, their shoulders start to pop, lose a lot of belly fat. And again, what's almost more important than the physical change is the mental change that a lot of these men make. And they start showing up different for their families. They start showing up different in the workplace, and their overall presence starts to change because they feel like they're earning it. They finally feel like their results that they're getting are matching the effort. And I bet you a lot of you that are going to watch this video feel like your effort is really high and you're doing a lot of work, but ultimately the results just aren't there to show. So that's basically what we're going to talk about in the video. Okay, so who the TD1 method is for. This is a really important slide here, guys, and important information, because you need to be the right type of person. This program is not for everybody. Not everybody can implement it because it takes a ton of work. But if you apply yourself to it, it's going to change your life. So if you are somebody who is looking to lose anywhere from 20, 30, 40, maybe more pounds, and you want to do it permanently and never go back, the TD1 method will work for you. Especially if you are somebody who tried a bunch of things before. Maybe you lose a couple pounds here and there. You see a little bit of progress here and there, but ultimately nothing really sticks. And you just want a simple but proven system. This program is for you. Again, it's very meticulous. It's very detailed. And that's part of why it works. And I think a lot of people, again, a lot of men who train, bang their heads against the wall. They get frustrated. They feel like the effort doesn't match the results. And, they're almost playing like this guessing game, right? They don't really know if the exercises that I'm doing in the gym are actually going to get me better. Is this diet the right diet for me? There's a lot of question marks. And again, you can go on freaking Instagram or YouTube right now and find 5,000 fitness coaches that are all going to tell you the different thing. And people just are confused and don't really know what to do. But again, we have a proven track record over the last 10 years. So if you want a proven blueprint and you've tried other things and they haven't worked, then this is the system for you. Okay. This method is also for type 1 diabetics. It is not specifically a diabetic plan, but I am a type 1 diabetic myself. So, and just to be clear, this method does help all men. But if especially you are a type 1 individual, this program has a lot of specificity to you as well, that we can kind of support you throughout that. And this methodology will work for you too, because usually type 1 individuals are already highly disciplined, and just need a little bit of support here and there to kind of fine tune things. So if any of those situations are you, then this method will 100% work for you. Okay. Now, honestly, almost more importantly than who this is for, I want to tell you guys who this is absolutely not for, because again, this system will work wonders for you. It'll feel like you're on freaking steroids, how fast your body's changing. But certainly if you are not the right type of person for this methodology, it absolutely will not work for you. Okay. So if you are somebody who is looking to do a traditional bulk cut, yo-yo type of cycle, this is not for you, right? This plan is more about sustainability and consistency, using a lot of the proven science behind how to build muscle while staying lean. Usually with a traditional cut and bulk, it's pretty easy to get really lean when you crash down your calorie, you cut all your carbs and you do a bunch of cardio. But then as you try to rebuild your muscle mass, oftentimes people do what's called a dirty bulk, and they end up gaining a lot of body fat back as well. So if that's kind of what you're used to, then this again will not work for you. If you're somebody who is a quick fix seeker, you're looking for something like trendy and fast. If you want to take some crazy supplements, this is not for you, right? Like, this is not just a physical program to change your physical nature and your body, but this is also a lifestyle and mindset program, or methodology, I should say. So it doesn't kind of apply if you're looking to do like a 21-day juice cleanse, or just do some sort of like crazy fast where you, again, crash out your calories and just try to burn as much body fat as possible, but then also lose a bunch of muscle mass along the way. So this is not a quick fix for sure. And the last two, I think, are probably the most important. If you are a low effort individual, if you're not willing to commit to the work, it's not going to work for you. It's not fucking magic. It's not like you can't just like think about some of these strategies and like all of a sudden, because you think it and you want it, like it's going to magically happen for you. You actually have to fucking do the work. And if you're not even willing to show up in the gym, 3 to 4 hours a week, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, you're going to have to commit to doing the work at some point. And lastly, again, I think this is probably the most important one. If you don't start to develop that one-of-one mindset, if you don't believe in yourself, even if you find a program that does help you make the initial transformation, if you don't truly unlock like that next level of who you're meant to be, and you don't believe that it's going to work for you long term, like, you're going to backtrack, right? So just overall, mindset is just absolutely crucial for your long-term success. Okay. So what is the truth, right? I want to kind of talk a little bit about like the truth about getting in shape, getting ripped, finally starting to see progress. Again, unfortunately, fitness influencers and gurus, it's a really big problem in the fitness industry right now. Unfortunately, you might see people on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or wherever, and they're telling you, hey, eat 1,000 calories, do a fast, do X, do Y, do Z. And in reality, like, they're not being honest with you that they're actually like taking steroids, right? They're taking testosterone. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you decide that's the route you want to go down and you want to have a little assistance by taking some gear, like, again, nothing wrong with that by any means. But oftentimes there's this like weird thing with fitness people online where like they're almost ashamed of that. So they tell you, hey, do this, do this, do this. Don't eat carbs, do a fast, do keto, do carnivore, train this way, add this cardio. And, meanwhile, they're shredded, but they're not telling you that like, oh, by the way, I'm taking steroids. Right. So it's kind of funny, but unfortunately, it happens every single day. Again, I've been in the business now. I've been in the game for over 10 years. So I've seen it happen far too many times. And like a crazy example of this is like the Liver King, right? I don't know if you guys saw the documentary on Netflix, but the Liver King for years was like, I'm not on steroids. I'm not on steroids. Eat liver, eat raw bull testicles. And like, you're going to be shredded and testosterone and all this stuff. And then it actually came out that he was fucking taking steroids. So again, nothing wrong with that if that's your thing, but most fitness people are probably actually lying to you. So that's the kind of the whole point here, the truth about getting ripped. The reality is, guys, like, you can get ripped without restrictive diets. You can get ripped without taking steroids. You can get ripped without like crazy long hours spent in the gym. The truth is, most men just like don't know how to do this effectively and efficiently. Okay. So when we talk about like eating smart for fat loss and building muscle, it's no more complicated than just having a personalized nutrition plan, having strategic macro timing, and making sure that we're efficient and like really understand when to fuel and where to fuel properly to maximize the growth stimulus and maximize fat burning, all while like not depriving yourself of foods that you actually enjoy. Okay. So that's like a really big part of it. And again, people just don't like understand how to do this. So again, we're going to map all this out for you by the end of this video. So just stay tuned. All right. Now, also training with intensity and precision. Again, this is like a really, really big one. Like, are you going to the gym and just training comfortably? Are you going to the gym and, getting sweaty, getting your heart rate up, challenging your muscles, getting a little bit of a pump on, but basically like training comfortably and not like focusing on progression. I think a really big mistake that most men make is they don't understand like when to progress or how to progress. And ultimately they kind of stay stagnant with like their overall strength, which limits their body's ability to trigger building muscle essentially. So it's not just about burn calories and sweating to get results. It's about like understanding the progression and like when to elevate yourself in the gym. Okay. And then, lastly, if you want to like super get ripped without all those, enhancements, right? Steroids and whatever, like you need to build a system and have a measurable scoreboard where you can like track your nutrition, track your performance in the gym, and just be like really open and honest about like where you are in this process and making sure that you're preventing plateaus. And I'll be brutally honest with you, like the main reason why most people don't want this like higher level of accountability, most people don't want to track their shit, is because like they just don't want to be honest with themselves about like, oh wow, you actually ate like a freaking asshole yesterday. Like people just don't appreciate or want that like blunt, brutal honesty, But again, if you want to level up, you're gonna have to overcome that issue mentally. And again, that's part of like developing that one-of-one mindset and being a better leader, not just for yourself, but your family. Okay. Now you might be thinking, I'm just too busy. This won't work for me. My genetics, like whatever the fucking excuse is. Just understand that those are limiting beliefs. It's not reality. It's not true. You're not too busy. It will work for you. And the TD1 method that I show you guys here in a little bit will provide you like actionable structure, proven strategies, and like super crystal clear accountability. So you know exactly what you're doing and when to do it to maximize your gains. Okay. What's really cool about this program too, guys, I've essentially compiled everything together and created the TD1 methodology and like the strategies behind it, but you don't have to question like, is this going to work for me, right? Like the science of how we, kind of construct our calories and our macros is like clinically proven, clinically studied. Like it does work for fat loss and building muscle. And the same applies for the strength stuff, right? Like it is not rocket science, guys, that if you strength train and you lift heavy and you push yourself to failure, that you're going to build muscle, right? So again, like this mindset of like, well, is that really going to work for me? Like the science is proven, right? If you do those things, it will work for you, right? Now, again, I've kind of brought it all together into a more palatable system in the TD1 method, but it will 100% work for you. Like you don't have to question that essentially, okay? So if you want to be the man, here's exactly what we're going to cover and what I'm going to show you so that you can start implementing this stuff today. A lot of the TD1 method kind of helps you sidestep, some of the pitfalls that most men fall into when it comes to their training and their nutrition. Again, there's a lot of questions of like, well, what diet is better? Like how many calories should I eat? Like how should I train actually? So again, this methodology will help you eliminate all those pitfalls. Okay. This program also will help you achieve like tangible, sustainable results without giving up your favorite foods, without having you train like crazy hours. And, honestly, if it's like, it will change your life, and you don't have to worry about being like a gym rat. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they'll see these people who are like cheating online with steroids that have this like crazy physique. And, that person might not even have a real job, that might be like a coach or a trainer for a living. So like they get to live their life in the gym. And then I think, unfortunately, a lot of people like think that, I have to do that in order to see results. And like, it's just not true. Okay. And again, we're going to show you at the end of this video how to implement the TD1 strategy today. And I'm going to give you the exact playbook of how to do that. Okay. So if you want to lose 10% of your body weight and do that in under 90 to 180 days, it's going to work for you. Okay. So quick background on me, just so you kind of like understand where I'm coming from and like my methodology behind this. I have owned a gym for a decade now, which is kind of crazy. I think back to like when I opened the gym and it still feels like it was just yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like I was a completely different person. So it's kind of a weird thought to like know that I've been in the game for that long now. I still feel like I'm young at heart. But yeah, it's been a wild journey. We've helped thousands of people transform their lives using systems just like this. And basically, if you want the real truth of like why I created this system in general, um, not only am I a gym owner for the last 10 years, but I'm also a type 1 diabetic for basically just as long. All right. 6 months after I opened the gym, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So having that life-threatening disease, honestly, like forced me into this position where I needed to bring a whole nother level of discipline and structure and accountability to my life, even on days where I felt like I wasn't like actually ready to do the work. I didn't really have a choice of like not being honest with myself, essentially. So I kind of used a lot of the training and a lot of the mindset and a lot of the methodology, behind like what it takes to help me manage type 1 diabetes. And I kind of turned that into the TD1 method to help people that don't even have diabetes apply the same level of discipline and structure to their life so they can get like predictable, measurable results. Okay. So that's where this comes from. It's not hype. It's not like, fake. I'm not like a fitness influencer that takes steroids. I'm not some sort of guru that's like chasing views online. I've had 10 years of like actual training people in the trenches, and these systems that I'm teaching right now are the same ones that I personally use, the same ones that my clients use, and by the end of this video, again, the same one that you will be able to use today to start, actually having like undeniable change in your life. Okay, so let's keep rocking. All right, now this right here is the goods. Okay, this is where we're going to get into like the X's and the O's of the actual strategy. Rick here again, when he first came to me, when he first wanted to join the program, one of the things that he expressed was he's a business owner. His schedule's crazy. He has a lot of stress, but he was actually exercising. He was focusing on his nutrition. He was doing some things to try to make himself healthier. But ultimately, he's just like banging his head against the wall, like not really understanding why things aren't changing, why he seems to go in the wrong direction. And one of the things that he said to me that was really profound was, I feel like the effort that I'm giving is not matching the results, right? Like the results that I actually am seeing in the mirror is not reflective of the amount of time and effort that I'm putting in. So like, what the frick's going on? All right. So this is him, right? This is him at the beginning of the TD1 method. And this is him today, right? Still has some belly fat that we're working through. But again, this is not even 90 days into the system. So I'm probably going to have to remake this video in like the next month and update this to show you his current progress. But you can see obviously in less than 90 days, just like clear belly fat reduction. He's starting to develop some arm muscles. His chest is getting a little more defined. He's essentially seeing the progress, which is freaking awesome. So the TD1 method that he's using, guys, is two things more than anything else. All right. It is a mindset and it is a metric driven system. Okay. So let me repeat that. The TD1 method is a mindset and it is a metric driven system. Okay. So we already talked about how, what TD1 stands for, right? Tested daily. So one of the things that we test, right, mentally every day is your work capacity, your nutritional intake, your sleep quality, your glucose levels if you're type 1 diabetic, and all of this data is used in order to make like educated decisions on like where to change and what to change to keep progressing so that way you don't hit plateaus. Okay. Trained daily, right? We're going to focus on like 4 high intensity strength training sessions, but then not just those 4 strength training sessions in the gym. The other 3 days of the week, just because we're not lifting weights doesn't mean we're not training. Okay, so we're going to be doing things like getting our steps in. We're going to be doing some mobility drills. Like we're doing something every single day to improve ourselves. But the main bulk of like how we're going to start to really grow is 4 focused, high impactful lifts that really maximize your effort in the gym, essentially. And then lastly, guys, again, just becoming the one of one man, right? Like not only focusing on being a strong, lean individual, but becoming more mentally and emotionally resilient as well. And part of that one of one man development is kind of all tied into, you know, the testing daily, the daily training, just like always working on yourself and not really taking a day off. Okay. So all of this and the TD1 method, guys, is kind of wrapped up into 2 main phases. So I'm going to break down like the 3 main pillars of the TD1 method, where we talk about training, we talk about nutrition, we talk about sleep and recovery a lot. But then inside of each pillar, there is like a priming phase where that might be the first 90 days of the program. And then there's an ascension phase of the program as well. So I'm going to break all of that down for you so you know, again, exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it so you start seeing progress today. Okay. So again, number 1 is training. Okay. We're going to focus a lot on strength analytics here, and we're going to start focusing on like volume progression. So again, you're not stuck in like this stagnant place in the gym. Like we want to see constant growth, essentially in the gym. Okay. So, most men, when they think about training, again, they might be looking to do the new move, or there might be a new machine at the gym, you know, and it's always essentially about like, you know, all the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like people are kind of stuck in the weeds and they're not really seeing the full picture, essentially. Okay. So they're doing like all the little things. They're majoring in the minors. That's what I was looking for. Majoring in the minors. Okay. So we don't want to major in the minors. Like we want to give you like a very clear, objective, scoreboard so you can actually track your progress. Okay. So number 1, what we need to start doing, guys, what you need to start doing is you need to start tracking everything. Okay. And again, it's work. I told you before, this is not like for a low effort individual. Like, but if you start to do this stuff, guys, it's going to fucking change your life. All right. So you need to start to track everything. Okay. Meticulously track everything. And what I mean by that is like track what exercises you're doing, track the weights that you're doing, track the reps that you're doing, and also track like your rest time. So that way we can figure out your overall volume for the workout. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that's important, but we're going to write all that information down for like every single lift that we do so we can figure out and quantify what our overall load is for that workout and make sure, again, that we're progressing throughout this journey. Okay. So step number 2, once you've tracked everything, that's when you need to calculate your overall volume per session. Okay. So essentially you sum up your sets, your reps, your load across the entire workout, and you get like an overall number for like, hey, this is the volume that I lifted today. Okay. So just as an example, let's just say you're doing bench press. All right. So you do bench press, you do 10 reps, and you're doing 100 pounds. You know, let's just keep the math simple. So 10 reps times 100 pounds equals 1,000 pounds for that set. And then maybe you do 3 or 4 sets. So let's say you do 4. So that will be 4,000 pounds on bench press that you did today. Okay. So again, just really simply, that's basically how you do it. You do that exact process for every single lift that you accomplish in that workout. And then by the end, you just add them all up. So maybe you'll do 4,000 pounds for bench. You do 10,000 pounds for squat. You do another 6,000 pounds for another move. And for the overall lift, you've done 20,000 pound volume. Okay. So that's like step number 1 is understanding your overall workout volume. And then we're going to learn how to progress. Okay. So the rule that we follow is make sure that we're increasing the total workout volume by 10, maybe 15%, like 1 to 2 times per month. Okay. So for instance, you might not be able to go from 100-pound bench press to 120-pound bench press like in an individual workout. So you might have a few times you're doing bench press at that same weight, but maybe once or twice a month, you try to add a couple pounds. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be like big jumps. Again, you're not going from like 100 pounds to 200 pounds. But like I said, once or twice a month, you're trying to add 5 to 10 pounds on top of specific sets. Maybe add 1 to 3 reps per set, maybe add an additional set. So instead of doing like 3 or 4, maybe you do 5 on a specific workout. Like all of those little tweaks will increase your overall volume for that workout. And by the way, as you're doing that and as you're progressing and maybe lifting heavier and doing more sets, it's going to make you a little bit more fatigued, right? It's going to make the workout a little bit more intense. So really monitoring your rest period is going to be really, really important too. And as the volume increases, we try to keep our rest about the same or maybe even dropping it. And all of a sudden the workout becomes like really, really dense. And again, that's where progression is built in and it starts to really change fast. Okay. A simple split that you can follow, guys, is a 4-day split. Again, trying to train for 4 hours or less each week is perfect. You don't need to, again, go to the gym for an hour and do cardio and then do another hour of lifting. Like just 1 hour, really efficient, really effective work is where you're going to start to see like the biggest bang for your buck, essentially. Okay. So try to always focus too on just like the big movers, so for me personally, I like to hit chest on Mondays. That's just me. Maybe I'll switch it up and hit arms on Mondays, but I like to hit a muscle group that just like makes me feel tough, makes me feel good. Like most people, I fucking hate doing legs. So I try to like push that off for like later on in the week. But, you're really focusing on like the big muscle groups, just, 4 times a week, guys. And then you're kind of following this like 2 days on, 1 day off rhythm. And then on those off days, again, it's not just like I do nothing now and I'm a vegetable on the couch, but like you're off, but you're still walking, you're still getting your low intensity cardio in, you're still doing some mobility and some stretching, taking care of yourself. But then again, on those 4 lifts, it's all about like bringing the intensity. Okay. So in the priming phase, what I suggest to my clients is to maybe do a little bit on the lighter side for weight, a little bit more reps. The goal for the priming phase for training is to kind of get the muscles ready to be a sponge. And I'm going to talk about being a sponge a little bit later on when we go into the nutrition phase. But it's about like improving your work capacity. We want to start to develop a muscle detail. We want to increase our metabolic conditioning. And ultimately part of the priming phase is to become more insulin sensitive, right? We want to be able to use insulin more. So this is kind of how you do that from a training aspect. All right. So making sure you're hitting like heavy patterns most of the time. And again, you're trying to go maybe 3 to 4 exercises per lift or per workout, I should say, anywhere from like 4 to 5 sets, 12 to 20 reps in that range. And just keeping kind of the weight relatively moderate. And then, adding in some of those like isolation movements, some tertiary movements, if you want to, like by the end of the workout. So for me personally, if I'm like doing a heavy leg day, what I would do is do like heavy squats, because squats are probably the most anabolic lift you can do that triggers the most muscle growth. So I'm hitting like a heavy squat where I'm doing like 4 or 5 sets. I'm doing a heavy deadlift. And then if I want to add some like smaller muscles into that, then I'll do like some calves and maybe some abs or something like that. But, again, focusing mostly on like the big muscle movers and then adding in some like 1 or 2 smaller muscle groups, by the end of the workout, essentially. And again, what's really, really important about any time we're in any phase, whether it's the priming phase or the ascension phase, is always trying to train until failure. If you're getting to like, let's say, rep 20, and you've done 20 squats, your muscles are burning a little bit, but ultimately, you get to rep 20 and, if you have a gun to your head, like, can you do 21? Can you do 22? If the answer to that question is yes, then honestly, you're not really working till failure. Okay. So if you're doing, 20 reps, when you get to like rep 18, 19, like that should be like gun to your head reps where it's like, man, I should be done at 18, but like, let me try to eke out 19 and 20. And then like, bang, you're done. And you just like can't even get to rep 21. So it's a little bit of a science to kind of learn that. And it's another level of intensity that most people are not willing to go to. But again, that's why I asked you guys at the beginning of this video, like, are you willing to work hard to achieve your goals. And if you're not, then again, this is never going to fucking work for you. So just turn off the video at this point, okay? When you get into the ascension phase for training, guys, this is where like the muscle building aspect happens. So again, first we're focusing on stripping fat down. We're focusing on getting lean and turning our body into like an insulin sensitive machine. Once we're at that phase, right, then we kind of focus more on growth and like actually packing on the muscle. Okay. So this is where we maybe shift from a little bit lighter weight, moderate weight, higher reps to like, I'm really starting to pack on the weight, and I'm going to drop the reps down low. So like the intensity of the workout like skyrockets. Okay. So again, similar kind of concept. You're still focusing on just 4 lifts a week, but instead of doing, 4 to 5 sets of 12 to 20, now I'm only doing 2 to 3 working sets where I'm hitting maybe 6 to 10 reps, and like the weight jumps pretty big, right? Pretty drastically, I should say. So the goal here with our volume is to keep our volume about the same, right? So if we were lifting like 20,000 pounds in a workout in the priming phase, the goal initially for ascension, even though we're dropping the reps way down, would be to keep the same like 20,000 or maybe a little bit more volume for the overall lift, which means the weights have to, again, dramatically jump up. Okay. And the same concept applies, right? If you're training to failure, you're fine. But if you're getting to that 10th rep of like a heavy deadlift and you might be able to eke out 11 or 12 or 13, then that should just be like mindset number 1, where like, fuck, I probably need to like ramp my weight up a little bit here, because when I hit that 10th rep, like I want to be done, right? I don't want to be able to do any more than that. And if you can do that, that's where you create like the most amount of mechanical tension. That's where your body is triggering muscle growth and strength gains better than any other thing. Okay. So basically that's how we're going to kind of go through those 2 different phases. I'm going to show you like an example workout plan here in a minute. And then on top of that, guys, again, whether it's prime, whether it's ascension, we're just going to keep our cardio pretty basic. And we're going to just focus on, walking, right? You don't need to actually do running. I mean, if you enjoy that, I guess that's fine. But you can get the same thing done by doing like 40, maybe 50 minutes of walking each day. And a really simple strategy to do this is just to walk like 10 minutes post meal, right? If you're eating 4 times a day, right after you're done eating, do a little 10-minute power walk, and that will increase your overall NEAT or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It'll help you manage your blood glucose control, especially if you're a diabetic. It'll help you with your meal digestion and actually get those nutrients into the muscles so you can actually grow. And again, you're doing that basically every single day. And again, if you want to add in some more intense cardio, I guess, you can maybe do like, zone 1, like low steady state training, 20 to 30 minutes on the treadmill, or just going for a light jog or something like that. But that's the cardio that actually works. Like you don't really need to go any crazier than that. Okay. Now let's talk about nutrition. Okay. So the training portion, guys, that's where we focus on the muscle. That's where we focus on like triggering these growth hormones. That's where we actually change like the shape that our body has, right? When you start to train this way and you start to really understand like how to progress and how to add, strength and muscle, that's where like the shape of your body will take place that you've maybe never had before. But nutrition is where we focus on the fat loss and the stripping down of our body. And again, this is something where oftentimes a lot of people get this backwards. You might think that it like going to the gym and like burning a ton of calories like in a given workout is like how I'm burning fat, or like do a fat burning workout. Like there's no such thing as a fucking fat burning workout, right? Like workouts are great for your muscles, your heart, your lungs. But, when it comes to like stripping your body of the stored fat, like it's all about the nutrition piece. And this is where you kind of turn your body into that nutrient sponge when we get to the ascension phase. Okay. So this part is like really, really important. But the TD1 system, guys, is like really, really simple. It's just a matter of optimizing your body's ability to respond to the food that you're giving it. So again, you could actually grow. I've actually joked with some clients before because, again, I'm not like against steroids or anything, but personally, I've never taken them. And like when you do this the right way and you train through the priming phase and you train through the ascension phase, and then you also stack the priming and ascension nutrition with those workouts, the way your body responds is like, holy shit, like it feels like you're on steroids. Like the amount of gains that you get just from like eating the right way and training the right way, it's pretty freaking crazy, like how fast your body actually responds to that. Okay. So again, priming phase is all about boosting insulin sensitivity. We're going to strip your body down of fat, making sure that we're efficiently like partitioning our nutrients and getting them into the muscle, not storing them as fat. And this priming phase, this nutritional priming phase, like kind of prepares you for muscle building. So it's a really important part of the process that, again, most people kind of like skip and overlook. And then once we get into phase 2, the ascension phase, this is like once your body is stripped down of the fat and you become like really insulin sensitive, which means like when you actually eat food now, like your body is like ready for uptake. That's where we kind of like are very strategic and targeted with our carbs and our protein. And we make sure that we fuel like in a really precise way to maximize muscle growth. Okay. So again, I told you at the beginning of this video, I'm going to give you like actionable things to focus on. So you can start doing this like right now today to start this priming phase and get your body ready for building muscle. Okay. So if you were setting this up today, what I would personally recommend you do is a 1-to-1 ratio of protein and body weight, right? If you weigh 200 pounds, I would take 200 pounds times 1 gram of protein, and I would be eating 200 grams of protein per day. Eating enough protein is crucial for preserving muscle mass when you are in a calorie deficit. So when we're in that priming phase, we're focusing on stripping our body down of all the excess fat. It is like absolutely paramount that you're eating enough protein, because if you're in a calorie deficit and you're not eating enough protein, a majority of the weight that you will lose is going to be muscle mass. Okay. So it's really, really important in this initial phase to make sure that you're eating enough. So usually I recommend to my clients 1-to-1, but it may be even 1.25 to 1, right? So take your body weight, multiply by 1.25 to eat a little bit of excess protein. And that should be a plenty good place to start. Okay. Carbs, we're going to start keeping them pretty moderate. Again, this is like not an anti-carb diet. This is not like we're going to do keto or carnivore where we're just like stripping our body of all glucose. We need carbohydrates to, again, preserve muscle mass, to give us energy. Carbs are your body's preferred energy source. So we're going to start moderate, maybe do like 1. I have here 1.2 to 1.8. So maybe if you're on the heavier side, you have more body fat to lose, I would maybe go like 1 to 1.5 and just multiply by your body weight. So again, if you're 200 pounds, multiply by 1.5, and that's the amount of carbs you're going to eat throughout the day. And then what I would recommend doing is carb sandwiching the majority of the carbs. Okay. So I would have some carbs pre-workout and I would have some carbs post-workout. So they fuel your workout, they give you energy, and then they, help you recover and like shuttle all those nutrients right to your muscles to spark some growth. And then like the rest of the day when you're not training and you don't need that energy, maybe keep the carbs a little bit lower, right? So then maybe go more like protein, veggies, and fats, but like stacking all of your carbs, as many as you can, around your workout essentially. Okay. Then fats, fats are essentially your calorie filler. So start with like 0.3 to 0.45 times your body weight. Don't eliminate fats, right? Like it's important for essential hormones and balance to make sure that you are getting all of the macronutrients, and then you can use your fat intake as a way to monitor and tweak your calories, as we progress. And that'll be really important here in a second when I kind of explain to you like how we're going to make adjustments. Meal frequency, guys, for the priming phase. This one I think is a little bit less, it's not an exact science, what I can say, so I hear what I use as Rick's example. What Rick does is he eats like 5 meals a day, every 2 to 4 hours, so to speak. But as long as you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your protein, you're doing a little bit of that carb sandwich around your workouts. Like personally, it doesn't matter if you're doing 3 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 4 meals a day, like whatever works for you and your schedule is probably more optimal than like trying to force yourself to eat 5 or 6 times a day. Like, you don't have to be like an old school bodybuilder and eat like 6 or 7 small times a day to keep your metabolism revved up. Like, you don't have to do that. If that works for you, that's great. But at the end of the day, what's most important is, are you hitting your calories? Are you hitting your protein? Are you using carbs to shuttle nutrients and energy around your body to build muscle? Okay. So that's more like subjective and just like you figure that out. And then flexible eating, again, this is kind of more along the lines of like just where you are in your process. Like, if you are desperate to see results, I would eliminate any flexible eating. I would stay like pretty on point with my nutrition. If you have one meal a week where you have something a little bit fun, like whatever, just make sure it's not like a crazy deviation, and make sure you don't like completely blow your calories out of the water. Because calorie deficits, the way they work, guys, is you need to burn 3,500 calories in order to lose a pound of fat. Okay, so if you do a 500 calorie deficit every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, that's 500 calories times 7 days. That's 3,500 calories, which means if you are in a 500 deficit 7 days a week, you will lose a pound of fat. It is really easy, though, to not be in a 500 calorie deficit and like blow your calories out. So let's just say you're in a 500 calorie deficit Monday through Friday. So 5 days, that would be 2,500 calories. And then Saturday, Sunday, all hell breaks loose and you're like 1,000 calories over, what you were supposed to be from a calorie intake place. That means when you average out the whole week, now you're only in a 500 calorie deficit for the entire week, and then you don't see any progress. Okay. So again, it really just depends on like where you are in this journey. Again, if you're desperate enough to see results, I would recommend just kind of forfeiting the flexible idea right now. And then once you get to a place where you've stripped your body fat, you're ready to start the ascension, then we can kind of mix some of that stuff back into your lifestyle, essentially. Okay. So this is Rick's actual meal plan. He keeps it like really, really simple. I think another mistake that a lot of people make is they think they need all this variety, or they say they want a lot of variety. They say like, well, I can't eat the same thing every day. Like, yes, you fucking can. You actually can if you care about your results, right? Like, again, once you're at a place where you have the exact body that you want and you're super jacked and you've gotten all these results, like, yeah, let's talk about variety and like building in some flexibility to your life. But initially, like when you need to start seeing progress, like you got to just stick with the basics and like make sure you're hitting your numbers and then go from there. Okay. So with Rick's plan, he focuses a lot on, protein and veggies, a little bit of fruit. And then when he gets to his workout time, that's where he like really packs on the carbs. So for breakfast, it's like some sort of egg omelet with a little bit of fruit on the side, a little bit of carbs. Lunch might be some chicken and some olive oil for some healthy fat. And then his carbs are like some zucchini, which again is pretty low. But then pre-workout, he might start adding in some rice, some honey, some other fruit. Post-workout meal, he might have some whey protein with some carbs added in, applesauce, peanut butter. Again, pretty rudimentary, basic things, but it really comes down to like the portions, right? It's not as simple as just like, oh, you have to eat clean foods. You do have to eat clean foods, but you also have to eat them at the right time, especially those carbohydrates. And then you have to eat the right portions to make sure that it's like for your body type, right? Like what you need to eat and what I need to eat are not the same thing. I'm 235 pounds, 6 feet. You might be 5'5", 300 pounds. Like, I don't know, but like the macros are not going to be the same. So it's not just like I ate clean food. You have to know the right portions. Okay. But again, you can look at his meal plan right there, like super, super basic, but like really gets the job done. Okay. Now, this is like a really important part of this for the priming phase, guys. How to adjust, when to adjust, like how to know like what I'm doing and not just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and, hoping something sticks, right? What I recommend to my clients and what I recommend you do is I recommend that you weigh in daily and calculate your average weekly weight so you kind of eliminate the fluctuations. So you might have a day where you're up 5, you're down 3, you're up 2, you're down 1, you're up 3, you're down 3. Like there's a lot of ups and downs along the way. So if you are just like randomly checking your weight, you might be catching yourself on an upswing. You might be catching yourself on a downswing. Like you have no idea really. So what I recommend to do is to make sure that you track every day what you weigh, and then divide by 7 so you have like a weekly average, okay? And then week to week, if your weekly average isn't changing, because again, every day it's going to be like up and down, but if your weekly average is like week 1 I'm 200, and then week 2 I'm 200, and then week 3 I'm 200, like, you know, you're not really seeing any change at that point. So that's where you maybe will start to drop carbs a little bit here or there. You might play with your fats a little bit to bring your calories down. And you could also simultaneously be adding some steps to your day. So typically I recommend like 10,000 steps a day as like a baseline. And that works really well for a lot of people, especially if you're more sedentary and you've only really get like, 3 or 4,000 or 5,000, like if you're not really trying. So 10,000 is like a good place to start. But if you're already at 10,000, and you're eating pretty clean, you're sticking to the meal plan, and your body isn't changing, your weekly average isn't changing, just slowly bring your carbs and fats down and slowly increase your steps by 1,000 or 1,500. And then what's really, really important in this priming phase is we need to keep our strength up. Okay, so you need to kind of play that game of like, I'm reducing some carbs, I'm reducing some overall calories, but if in the gym my strength is going down, my volume in my workouts is going down, then what you need to do is start to add some carbohydrates back and make sure you're stripping some of the fats away so we can keep our energy high enough. That way we can like really push hard in the gym and we recover in the gym. Okay, so it's a little bit of a dance that you have to do, but that is the strategy. But the biggest mistake people make is they don't fucking track any of this shit. So like when they start to feel weak, they don't know why. When they're not seeing progress on the scale, they don't know why. But when you start to track and diligently measure all of this stuff, like it becomes like really, really simple to make these micro adjustments, and like, holy shit, like I'm all of a sudden seeing some pretty consistent progress with my results. So it's really not as, more challenging than that, guys. As we then get to the ascension phase, this is where shit gets like super, super cool. The ascension phase is where our body is like essentially primed and ready to start to pack on muscle like really, really fucking fast. So the way we do this is by just adding in, the two, 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates specifically on those training days. Non-training days, on the 3 days a week where you're not lifting, you can kind of reduce those carbs back down to like prime level. But especially on like training days, those 4 days a week where you're like really going hard in the gym and upping the intensity, upping the weight, add 25, add 50 grams of carbs specifically pre and post workout. Keep fats kind of the same, and also just make sure you're not in like an excessive calorie surplus. Again, we want to be like really tracking our daily weigh-ins. We want to maybe see our weight increase a little bit, but we also want to really monitor our belly fat and the way our clothes are fitting, take a lot of progress photos, and you're just measuring this stuff like really diligently. Okay, so if you're going through this ascension phase and you're starting to notice that maybe my midsection isn't as lean anymore, maybe I am gaining weight, I'm gaining muscle, but I'm also regaining a little bit of fat, that's where maybe we increase the steps again. Maybe we back down on the carbs a little bit, and just try to continue to bring that same level of intensity in the gym. And again, this all starts to puzzle piece itself together in like a really, really simple way. But again, the biggest problem is most people don't fucking know this shit because they don't track it. So they don't know what to adjust. They're just fucking guessing at everything and like nothing is working. And then all of a sudden it's like frustrating and I'm pissed off and like, oh my God, this is just, my genetics suck and whoa is me. It's really fucking simple when you track everything, guys. Okay. And the last little nugget here for the nutrition piece, guys, is specifically for the type 1 guys who are watching this video potentially. Do not be scared of carbs, right? The biggest mistake that I made early on in my fitness journey, when I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, is I like avoided all carbohydrates because I was having a really hard time controlling my blood sugar. So I would eat carbs. I wouldn't dose my insulin properly. My blood sugars would spike like crazy. So I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just not going to eat carbs. And I chose to kind of fall victim to that like keto carnivore mindset, which does work really, really well for managing blood sugar levels, but it is like terrible for building muscle. Our body needs insulin. Right. So if you're following a diet plan that is like so low carb that you barely need insulin to kind of function, like you're kind of good with like limited amounts of insulin, your body will have a hard time even shuttling the protein to the muscles that it needs to go to. Okay. So whether you are a type 1 diabetic or whether you're just a regular old guy, insulin is the Uber driver that shuttles the nutrients around your body. Okay. So if you are, again, not eating carbohydrates post-workout, pre-workout as a non-diabetic, you're not really maximizing that insulin spike and using the insulin to shuttle the nutrients around your body, it's going to be hard for you to build muscle. And if you're a type 1 diabetic and you're not eating carbohydrates enough throughout the day, and especially pre and post workout, again, even the protein that you're eating has a hard time getting around the body when you don't have insulin. So you can really time your carbohydrates and your insulin intake the right way as a type 1 diabetic. And like all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, it's freaking steroids, right? It's crazy at how fast some of these things will actually change your fucking life. So it's pretty cool, but don't make the same mistake I did, especially if you're a type 1 diabetic. Okay. And then guys, the last pillar here is recovery of the TD1 method. Sleep is the multiplier, guys. I have seen countless members over the last 10 years that do everything fucking right. They eat, they drink, they work out, they get their steps, they're taking all the right supplements, they're doing everything fucking right from an X's and O's standpoint, but they're just like not seeing the results, and it's frustrating. And it's like my stress levels are high, all my hormones are out of whack. And when we really kind of dig into it, we figure out that like, holy shit, they're only sleeping like 4 hours a night, and their hormones are like tanked because they're just like not recovering. Okay, so it is the really low hanging fruit, but I promise you guys, if you are training hard, eating properly, drinking enough water, getting your steps in, like doing everything freaking next level good, but you're barely sleeping, you will not grow. You're going to have a really hard time burning fat. And it's just going to be a challenging, like uphill battle for you. And you're going to feel like, again, the results that I'm actually seeing are not matching the effort, because like, fuck, I'm doing everything I possibly can, and like, I'm not seeing results. Like, what's going on? Sleep really is like the main thing, guys. Like, that's where all the growth hormone is released. Your quality of sleep, like, directly impacts your hormonal balance, when it comes to like muscle repair, fat metabolism, like actually oxidizing fat, like all of that happens like while you're sleeping. Okay. So it sounds simple. It doesn't sound like tough. It's not like an X's and an O's thing, but like, fuck, man, like you gotta focus on your sleep, because it will catapult your results to the next level. Okay. So again, actionable advice, something they can do today to start improving this, guys. Stop eating 2 hours before bed. One of the things that I teach my clients to do is try to train their body to go to bed slightly hungry. If you're like crushing your calories, crushing your macronutrients throughout the day, and you stop eating 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hours prior to bed, and you're going to sleep, maybe not starving, but you're feeling like, man, I could probably eat a snack right now. Like, if you can time that perfectly and go to bed where you're just like slightly hungry, that is where the growth hormone, the fat oxidation, like that's where all of the magic happens. And like overnight, you're going to wake up the next morning and be super hungry and get things rolling with your food again. But like, man, the results that you see from that full night's sleep, having really good digestion while you're sleeping, it like improves your sleep quality. Like, it's crazy how simple it is, guys, but just do it tonight and you'll see. Okay. Also, number 2 here, guys, make sure that the screens are dimmed. You're kind of off your devices 60 minutes, maybe again, even longer before bed. Because again, it's like the blue light makes you stay awake, right? Like it's a crazy thing, the way like our circadian rhythm works, but that light in your face, kind of tricks your body into thinking that it's morning time, right? So like your body is literally fighting those like sleep hormones with like, oh, I'm waking up hormones by just like shoving that shit in your face. So try to like eliminate the screens, try to turn off the TV, turn off the cell phone. And again, it doesn't sound like a super tough, like manly thing to do, but come up with like a really good nighttime routine where you kind of just like put yourself in this Zen mode to help you get like a better quality sleep, essentially. Okay. Again, really simple, but make sure your room is cool, and also make sure it's pitch black. right? So like, again, the lighting, whether it's a blue screen, whether it's like the hallway light, there is like a lot of science that shows when light is around us, our body is like signaling it's probably time to wake up. Okay. So just make sure you like pitch black everything, keep your room relatively cool, so you can get yourself into a deep, not restless sleep. Or I'm sorry, you don't want to be restless, right? You want to make sure that you're nice and rested and you're not moving around. So a nice cool room where your body temperature has a chance to kind of calm down, and then no light. Okay. Number 4, this is a really, really tough one, guys, but you are an adult. So I promise you can fucking do it, but try to start waking up and going to bed at the same time. Okay. It is not an excuse to say like, oh, well, my favorite sports team is playing tonight, so like I'm going to stay up until midnight, and then it's going to like mess up my morning, and like all the hormones and everything is out of whack. Like, go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every single day, so it reinforces your circadian rhythm and starts to get your hormones working properly. Okay, this will equate to better sleep quality, as you get better at this, essentially. And then if you do wake up groggy, make sure that you're not running downstairs and like chugging caffeine right away. Like, make sure you're trying to get some sunlight in, get some walking in. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the circadian rhythm again, but by kind of getting into these patterns, it resets your circadian rhythm and helps you, get away from being so reliant on like supplements and stimulants to kind of like get you through the day. Caffeine actually is a crazy one. People think that drinking coffee gives them energy, but caffeine actually is just like a fatigue suppressant. So it doesn't give you energy. It just tricks you into thinking you're not as tired as you actually are. So by using sunlight and walking first thing in the morning, it is like a natural caffeine. Your body actually wakes up and you get energy versus just suppressing your fatigue, essentially. Okay. And then lastly, guys, just make sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep. I mean, the science is kind of proven like 6.5 is okay. If you can get 7, if you can get 8 hours of like uninterrupted sleep, it will improve your lift. It'll improve your mood. It'll improve your energy. Like, everything will get better when you get 8 hours of sleep every single night. Okay. So again, do those things today and you'll start to improve, guys. Just like you can start doing some of the things in the workout and the nutrition phase of this, you're going to start seeing some progress like immediately. Okay. So just to kind of wrap this up, guys, how the TD1 method kind of plays out. What I typically see my clients, kind of go through is like this 90 to 120 day priming phase. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about like the ins and the outs of the training, nutrition, and cardio. So I'm not going to go into that again, but essentially, guys, it takes roughly 90 to 120 days for you to complete that priming phase, right? If you kind of exit the priming phase too soon and you try to go to ascension phase right away, you can do that, right? You can kind of start this muscle building approach like right away, but the priming phase is not just about we're stripping body fat to look better. It's literally about priming your body to be, hungry for growth and like eager and like it wants those nutrients. Okay. So you're kind of like preparing yourself to teach your body how to like maximally uptake these nutrients, so you can actually fucking grow and get jacked. Okay. So again, 90 to 120 days in that range. You can probably do it a little bit sooner. It might take you a little bit longer, just depending on who you are and your intensity. And then once you enter the ascension phase, guys, you can do that part of the program in like 60 to 90 days, where you really start to kind of grow into your new phase. So again, if you take 90 and 90, that's where I come up with like the 180 day mindset. But it's real. Again, if you look all the way back up to those pictures of Rick, again, he's still in the priming phase right now. He's kind of he's right around 90 days, honestly. So we're just about ready to kind of put him into the ascension phase once we strip off just like a little bit more body fat. But the ascension phase, again, 60 to 90 days where you're like really, really intentionally going after it. And then ultimately, guys, what's really cool about this system is after the ascension phase, after you focus on the TD1 for an additional 60 and 90 days of like changing how you train, kind of tweaking nutrition a little bit, if you're still not fully like at your overall goal where you want to be, you just re-enter the prime phase, right? So you can kind of cycle through these two different methodologies for the next, 6 months, year, and like you will fucking be a completely different human being on the other side of it, which is absolutely crazy. So just follow the fucking plan, guys, and it's going to work for you. Okay. So again, just to kind of wrap up the macro optimization of these two for the priming phase, again, this is all about stripping the body fat. Okay. So 1 to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight, anywhere from 1 to 1.8 or 2 grams of carbs per pound of body weight, 0.3 to 0.45 grams of fat per pound of body weight. And again, really, really important for this phase, but you have to track everything. Okay. You have to track your weekly weigh-ins. You have to know if this is getting me closer to my goal or further away, right? If you're in the priming phase and you're trying to strip yourself of body fat, like you need to be able to know, is this actually getting me closer to my goal? And if not, we're going to strip just a little bit of carbs here, a little bit of fats there, and we're going to slowly increase our step count. And then again, if strength starts to decline and we're noticing our energy's dipping, let's add some carbs back. Maybe we'll keep the steps where they are. It's just like this, again, you're tweaking and you're adjusting and we're tracking progress the whole way. It's not fucking guesswork, right? It's simple adjustments, okay? When you're in the ascension phase, again, we're going to keep protein about the same, maybe 1 to 1.25. We're going to add some carbohydrates pre and post workout on those heavy training days, and then maybe go back to like priming level carbs on those like non-training days where we're just getting steps in. And again, just like in the priming phase though, we're monitoring everything. Like we're tracking our strength progress. Like, is my workout volume improving? Am I lifting heavier? Am I getting stronger? I'm taking progress photos. I'm measuring my body fat percentage. And, if my waist jumps up, like if I'm gaining weight, but I'm starting to gain a little bit too much fat, then I kind of pull those carbs back and I focus on my steps and adding in a little bit of cardio. And again, we're just kind of piecing it all together. Okay. But again, the biggest mistake that you can make, and most of you are currently making this mistake, is you are not tracking any of this stuff. So usually what happens is, again, when you start to maybe get weaker in the gym, you just think like, oh man, like maybe I just didn't sleep right. And maybe that's true, but like, what are you going to do to change that? Like, are you going to fix it for real? Or are you just going to go through the motions? Are you just going to bitch about it? Like, you don't really have an actionable like strategy. And that's like really the problem. Like, again, we're not just like guessing. We're not winging it. We're not guessing. We're not like playing this game where I'm going to try this and then I'm going to go over here and try this and then I'm going to go over here and try this and I'm going to try this diet. I'm going to try this style of workout. And like everything is fucking random. Like when you do this the right way and you track everything, you're tracking your nutrition, you're journaling and tracking your workouts, you're tracking your overall progress, and you're making these micro adjustments based on that information. Like, holy fuck, that's where this gets like really explosive and really, really crazy. So just make sure you are tracking. Okay. And again, guys, I promised you that I would give you like my actual workout. Okay. So these are the workouts that I personally use. This is the same exact workout plan that I've basically followed for the first like 3 or 4 different times I was in my priming phase. Personally, I'm not a big fan of going all the way to 20 reps. So a lot of what you'll see here in, my workouts are, 12 to 15, 10 to 15 rep ranges. So what I want you guys to do here is, screen record this or screenshot this so you actually have the workouts. But again, the goal is to make sure that the workouts are dense. Okay. Make sure the workouts are dense. So I'm not trying to spend more than an hour doing any of these exercises because I want them to be intense. You can do every workout that's listed here and take 5 minutes in between each exercise and you'll be in the gym for an hour and a half or 2 hours. But if you really shorten that rest period and like give it everything you got in every single one of these lifts, again, you should be wrapping everything up in like 60 minutes or less. Okay. So Monday, I hit chest and calves, a little bit abs. So again, so I do like the big movers, then I do some of like the intermediate, and then maybe I'll finish with like one or two of like the small mover muscles, like some abs, just because, I like to get that like little finishing touch on my workouts. And then every day, by the way, I didn't say this, but every day we're doing like those 10-minute walks, right? So 3 to 4 to 5 times post meal, just to make sure that we're getting our steps in and we're kind of aiding digestion. Okay. Tuesday, I hit some back, some pull movements. Wednesday is my off day. That's where I'm really not lifting heavy at all. I'm using that as one of my active recovery days. So I'm shooting for, 10,000 steps. I might add in some like low intensity cardio. I love actually doing sled work. So I use something at the gym here called the sled tread, which is like a manual treadmill. It mimics like a sled push. So I love getting some steps in on that. And then I might do some like mobility work to kind of address some overall tightness and soreness, kind of keep everything going. One of the things I say to my clients is motion is the best lotion, right? So if I'm sore and I'm tight and I'm fatigued, I just kind of move on Wednesdays, which kind of opens things up. Okay. I told you guys before, I fucking hate legs. So I try to push those off for like later on in the week. So I typically hit them on Thursdays, and then I'll finish the week with one of my favorite lifts, which is my arm day. Okay. And then Saturday, Sunday, typically Saturday is just like a step day for me. I'm probably at the fields with the kids, watching a baseball game, doing some basketball stuff. So weekends, I try not to train on the weekends because that's when I'm typically busiest with like my kids. So Saturday is a big step day for me. And then Sunday, that is not only my meal prep day, but Sunday is the day where I review all of my metrics from the week. Okay. So I'm looking over my workouts. I'm kind of figuring out and doing all the math and kind of calculating my volume. I'm making sure I'm tracking my food and kind of planning out what I'm going to eat. So Sunday is that day where I'm not just like getting my food ready, but I'm also making sure that when I go into my workouts this week, like I have a game plan of like, hey, last Monday when I did flat dumbbell bench by 12 reps, I did 4 sets, I did 12 reps, and I did, 150 pounds, right? Tomorrow, I'm going to try to do 4 by 12 by 160 so I can like up that volume. So I'm going into each workout with an actual game plan and not just fucking guessing. Okay. So, again, guys, I mean, that's basically it, guys. We kind of went over the nutrition starter, how this kind of progression works and like what to track and when to track it and how to adjust. So again, what I recommend you do is go back, rewatch this video if you kind of have any questions on all of those things. But, we kind of went into pretty significant detail of like how that whole process works and like when to make adjustments. So just go back and rewatch. But what I'm going to leave you guys with is this, right? The reason why this works, right? The reason why this works is because, again, we're eliminating guesswork. The biggest problem, the biggest mistake that people make, the reason why they are not further along, the reason why they feel like the effort that they're putting in does not give them the results that they want is because everything is just so random. The lifts they're doing is random. The weights they're choosing is random. Their nutrition is kind of sporadic. Their sleep is kind of sporadic. When you actually apply a scoreboard, a scoring system, and a tracking system to all of these little things, again, it allows you to make actionable and like detailed and focused adjustments to what you're doing. So you can actually measure and see like the progress, right? Like it's not just like, oh, I'm going to try to eat no carbs today. It's like, well, maybe your body needed carbs because your energy was shit, right? It like has nothing to do with the fact that you're just weaker. Like there's a reason why you're weaker. So maybe your carbs are already too low. So like, why are you going lower in your carbs just to burn more fat? Like people just need like a structured plan so you can have like undeniable proof and like a system to follow so you can actually see progress long-term. Okay. So lastly here, guys, I mean, if you've made it this far in the video, I know that you're ready to rock and roll. If you are somebody who is looking to lose 10% of your body weight and pack on muscle in under 180 days, then I want you to reach out to me, right? Let's see if we can schedule a phone call. We'll chat about it. One of the things that I do really, really well is I kind of walk everybody through the TD1 method and come up with like a customized roadmap and like map all of this out for you. So let's just schedule a call, right? You've seen my videos, you've made it this far into this video. So again, if you're stuck in a rut, you're battling some of these frustrations that we've talked about, you kind of fit into these descriptions here. Maybe you're skinny, fat, physique, maybe you're just feeling soft, maybe you're tired of kind of hiding your body. One of the things that a lot of my clients talk about when they first join is, how when they go to the beach, they're like uncomfortable taking their shirt off. All right. So again, if that is you, then let's hop on a call. Okay. If you're ready to prioritize like getting lean, optimizing your body's response, and actually having like a systematic way, a proven methodology to build muscle, like this program is for you. Okay. So if you want to build a plan together that will build the man, just make sure to reach back out to me. I'm sure I sent this video to you via Instagram. So just shoot me a DM or click the link somewhere around this video and let's schedule a call.